What inspired you to join the public service?
I originally got involved just out of a desire to be involved with the community. I could see problems around me. The first is you have to keep an open mind. It's a very good thing for our state to move toward a more progressive, or at least less regressive tax system.
How do you stay connected to your voters or constituents?
Just stay open to invitations.
What advice would you give it to young people or professionals who want to get into public service?
Find a few issues that you feel passionate about and look for groups that are working on those issues.
Better to have a support. You're not on your own.
Laws kind of lag behind innovation. The main thing that people will see in the coming years is emphasis on.
Are we looking into any new industries?
Always looking at new industries as well. Yeah.
What should Washington prioritize next to stop scams? It's a big concern for senior citizens, and they are scared. We have a diverse communities. Voice matters. Hello everyone. I'm Prasad Anguluri, Bothell City Council member and an entrepreneur. Today we have pleasure of speaking with our Washington State Senator Derek Stanford, and he's from our own legislative district 1. Thank you so much for taking time and coming over. In the Senate, Stanford is vice chair of the Ways and Means Committee and serves on Business, Trade and Economic Development Committee and the Labor and Commerce Committee. His journey is a mix of public service and technology, which brings a thoughtful and practical approach to issues that matter most to our communities. In this conversation, we'll talk about what encouraged him to enter into public service and what a state senator's daily life or weekly life looks like, and how politics impact real issues for all of us. Senator Stanford, thank you so much for joining us, and we are excited to have you.
Very happy to be here. Thanks very much for inviting me.
Thank you. So the first question, what inspired you to join the public service, and what motivates you to continue in the public service?
I originally got involved just out of a desire to be involved with the community after I got out of college. I started doing some volunteering. I volunteered at a food bank for a while. And I was interested in how we as a society solve problems. What are the mechanisms? How do different levels of government work together? So that kind of got me interested, and that combined with just a desire to help solve problems. I could see problems around me, whether at the food bank, that's a fairly obvious one, but also where I worked, I could see some of the problems with the way some of the workers were treated. And just looking around the community, seeing problems and having a desire to be part of a solution. That's what really drove me to investigate policy and start learning, start getting involved with politics, volunteering with some campaigns, and eventually seeing an opening in the State House, and decided to take the leap and give it a try.
Great. Thank you. So, what does a typical week looks like? We at the council, every week we have a council meeting every Tuesday. So that's the most of thing that we do at the council, for example. So when it comes to, as a state senator, how does it look like? A week or a month or a quarter or a year, high level, so that our listeners would understand how it works.
Sure. Well, so it's very different depending on whether the legislature is in session or not.
Mm-hmm.
When the legislature is in session, committee meetings start generally at 8 a.m. in the morning and go, the work goes until the evening. I frequently have budget meetings going till 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. So it's pretty intense when we're in session. Some of the floor sessions, as you may have seen last time around, they can even go all night at times, although that's pretty unusual. So that's what it's like during session. It's just pretty constant. And there is a bit of a flow. You start off with committee hearings, bills are kind of going through that process. Then as session moves on, there's more time spent on the floor, voting on bills on the floor. And as we come to the close of session, the budget negotiations are kind of taking the forefront, because that is the one bill that we have to pass in order to have a state budget. So So that's what it's like during session. Outside of session, there are still a lot of meetings that happen, working on legislation to prepare for the upcoming session, working with stakeholders to understand issues. There's more time in the interim to really dig in and understand and educate yourself on issues that you're going to be dealing with. But that is also generally balanced against having another job, as I do, as many legislators do.
Good.
So you have to kind of find that balance, make sure you still have time for family as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the next question, we as a residents, constituents, we may have a different views and different issues. So how do you deal with it when there are different perspectives to an issue?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a couple of things that you have to keep in mind as a legislator. The first is you have to keep an open mind. We're not experts in everything. We may have initial reactions to some things, but you have to keep an open mind and listen to all the perspectives that are out there. At the same time, you have to know what your values are, because your values aren't going to change, hopefully. You can stick to your values, but still be open to hearing different ideas about how things should be implemented, or just different concerns about a policy. And that can be tricky sometimes. That takes a lot of thought to know kind of where you are on that path. But that's how I try to approach it. Stick with your values, but keep an open mind, and always be willing to talk to people, even when you know you're going to disagree with them, because you might still learn something.
Yeah. So everybody comes with different perspectives. So how do you embrace different perspectives and also listen to the other community members? Yeah, like millionaire tax. I mean, there might be it's a tough decision or on the floor, for example. So you have a different perspectives on a millionaire tax that we passed recently. What do you think? Any inputs on that?
Well, I mean, that's a great example where a lot of people had kind of different understandings of what it was actually trying to do and what was really in the bill. So a lot of times conversations come down to first saying, okay, let's try to get on the same page about what the facts are, what the bill does, and what, in my opinion, it's trying to do. In someone else's opinion, that might be different.
Sure.
But kind of understanding where we're at with what the bill actually does is generally a good place to start. And then we can talk about legitimate concerns about could this have negative impacts. With that bill in particular, I think there's a lot of concerns around potential negative impacts on our economy.
Sure.
I think we have to take that seriously. But on balance, I think it's a very good thing for our state to move toward a more progressive, or at least less regressive tax system. I think that'll be more fair, and it'll help balance out some of the volatility in the way our tax system works.
Great, and congratulations. So finally, we passed it. Okay, so the next one, how do you stay connected to your voters or constituents? So how do you do that usually?
How do I stay connected to
your constituents? Our residents at LD1 or mainly LD1. Usually, you try to make sure that you convey what you like to do, or taking the questions or concerns.
Yeah, I think that's a really important part of being a legislator. I try to basically just stay open to invitations. I've tried reaching out to different groups that I wouldn't normally run into in my day-to-day life.
Sure.
And I found a lot of people very welcoming and happy to invite me to things, invite me to community events. That's been a big way that I've tried to connect with people and make sure that I'm kind of hearing from different parts of the community.
Yeah.
one great example is an organization called Utsav that Arun Sharma
Sure.
runs. And he was very helpful in inviting me to events, introducing me to community leaders, introducing me to faith leaders in the community. And that was super helpful to me as a legislator to just get that introduction so that I could go and have conversations and establish communication with other local leaders in the community. So I always welcome those sorts of invitations to get connected.
I'm sure there will be more, even at Bothell City Council level, we are looking into more, bringing it more diverse. We have diverse communities. How do we bring diverse events or whatnot? So definitely, and we'll also keep you posted whenever we have something. So the next one, what advice would you give it to young people or professionals who want to get into public service?
The main thing I think to do when you're starting to get interested is to find a few issues that you feel passionate about and look for groups that are working on those issues. Because that's how you can get connected to people who really know what's going on. It's really difficult as just a single individual person to try to keep track of everything happening in the legislature.
It's better to have a support. You're not on your own.
Exactly. And there are groups out there already of people who are concerned, who are paying attention. So tap into those groups. They're usually very happy to get interested people, who want to help out or just be a part of the group and pay attention to what they're doing. But that's really a great way to help coordinate the activity and to express, a position on an issue. To do it with a group like that, it makes it easier to kind of keep track of everything that's going on because you'll be, tapped into the people who are doing that.
Yeah. Do you see more youth coming in? Any special advice? Sometimes youth may think, oh, no, you know what, I don't want the public service. But do you see more youth involved nowadays with what is happening around the country or whatnot? Do you see more youth involved? How do you see?
I think so. I mean, I think when we see troubling things happening around the country, I think that youth do get more involved because they're seeing this too, and they're thinking about their whole future, and being concerned about that, and often kind of wondering what they can do. And I think that youth in particular tend to not feel empowered, right? They feel like they're just kind of stuck with whatever's happening, and they want to change that, which is great. So I do think that youth have been kind of trying to get more involved, looking for opportunities. I think often there's a perception, like we were just talking about advocacy groups that exist out there. There's a perception that they might not want younger people to show up and try to get involved, or might not let them into leadership roles. But most of the groups that I've seen are actually very happy when younger folks show up to meetings and are energetic. Groups are really looking for that because they know that you can't just rely on retired folks to show up and to do all the work. You have to reach out to the broad swath of the community. And a lot of people struggle with having enough time to, they got to do their job, take care of their family. They might not have a lot of time to go out and do other things. But you can still stay informed, and the youth of today, I think, are, they care. They see what's happening and they care. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Excellent. Thank you. So, important question on AI. Washington state is a technology driven state, and AI is becoming part of almost every field. How do you think our state should adopt AI in a way that supports innovation but also protects people and communities?
So that's been a really difficult issue to work on because legislators are generally not very expert on AI or on other technology issues.
Absolutely.
And also it's just kind of natural that laws kind of lag behind innovation. in whatever field. But in technology in particular, things move very fast. And I mean, the speed at which we have seen AI capabilities roll out and evolve and
It's a
advance.
little bit crazy. And the investments on the data centers or whatnot, it's in trillions, not anymore billions.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly that's gone. And so it's natural that we would kind of struggle with that. Usually what we try to do when something like that is happening is we try to put together a task force. We try to bring together experts, not just legislators, but outside experts to come in and work on the issue and help us understand. We've worked on AI legislation for a couple of years now. And when we began, our hardest task was even defining what it was. What is AI? What are we even talking about? How can you write a bill and do policy if you can't even define what you're talking about? So that's kind of been a struggle. But by bringing in outside experts to help build that knowledge and people who are familiar with what's happening in the industry, they know about the risks and the problems, and they can help form that policy. So that's what we're doing. But of course, we still are going to have disagreements over what policy we should use. And so the main thing that people will see in the coming years is emphasis on building out that infrastructure for bus rapid transit, so that people can commute to Seattle, East Side, Everett reliably, and have those options really be much better than trying to drive in a single occupancy car. So that'll be an improvement. But after that, what's coming next is that we have to figure out how we're going to pay for transportation. The gas tax is a declining revenue source. We've worked a lot on systems that we could shift to replace that, but it's very difficult because people are not wanting to pay a whole lot for transportation. But at the same time, we want to have roads that are safe, that are maintained, and in some cases we do need to expand here and there. So that's something that that's going to take a lot of work, and I think a lot of opportunity for people to be heard from the community to kind of figure out how we should prioritize that.
Just a question on driverless cars. Do we kind of support that kind of? I see Waymo running around recently in Bothell and on our 405. So the driverless cars. So do we kind of support that kind of innovation around transportation, or any concerns?
Yeah, I think there are some concerns, and some different opinions on that. We have seen some problems in other places where that's been used extensively, and we also, some people like the option. So I think we are seeing some things being tested around here. But I feel like that's another area where we're still kind of trying to figure out
area. How it works out.
How should this fit in? What are the safety concerns? And a big thing is accountability for if there's an accident or if there's what happens much more often is
who gives the driving ticket? The police. I don't know. I just came to me.
If the car does something illegal, or if it gets stuck somewhere and is blocking traffic, who's accountable for that, and how do we deal with it?
Very good point. So let's see how the technology evolve. Not sure. Okay. So beyond technology, Washington also is strong in aerospace, retail, life sciences, even the quantum computing. So I'm an entrepreneur, and a lot of business we have around, even Canyon Park in Bothell. So what economic opportunities do you see as the biggest growth drivers for our state over the next few decades? Like things are changing and all, and how can Washington stay competitive while creating quality local jobs?
I'll answer that first, starting locally. We have a wonderful hub ecosystem built here around biotech and biotech manufacturing right here in Bothell. And that's no accident. That's the result of years of concerted effort
Great.
to encourage that, build that out, and work with companies to attract that here. And now we've got enough that it's got momentum, right? It's growing,
Yeah.
and we need to continue to nurture that. And one of the big ways we do that is with workforce development, making sure that we've got workers coming out of college, out of Cascadia and UW Bothell and other colleges that know about the career paths that are aligned with something that pays off well for our economy. But we kind of have to get through the tariff chaos, and we're going to have some rebuilding to do as we move through that.
Just a follow-up question: are we looking into any new industries? Are we good with what we have, that itself sustaining that and growing that, like you said, biotech and all, that itself is enough? Or do you think we are looking into any new industries at this moment?
Yeah, always looking at new industries as well. Yeah. I mean, we've had agriculture in the state for as long as we've been a state.
Yeah.
And that remains a really significant part of our state's economy. But it's still dynamic and changing. Where are the customers for those products, and what are the products that make the most sense? That mix is always shifting, and our industries need to evolve to that. But also completely new things like quantum computing. Microsoft is making big investments. We've got IonQ right here in Bothell with a manufacturing facility. So we need to be watching what's on the horizon there too, and looking for what's next, what's the next innovation, and how can we make sure that those jobs are going to come here.
Great. So you have been recognized for your work on consumer protection. What should Washington prioritize next to stop scams and promote trustworthy markets and safe products?
Yeah, this is another area where sometimes the laws struggle to keep up. The fraudsters are innovating too, unfortunately.
With artificial intelligence now even banned.
Yeah, it's worldwide. So the way I kind of prioritize is looking at things that have the biggest impact on people, and that's things like schemes that go after people's homes, that go after their mortgage equity or their home equity. And there are new financial products and fintech companies that come out and try to get around some of the regulations that we have in place that try to protect. And we've got a lot of regulations around mortgages, not so much around something called a home equity sharing agreement, where someone buys a piece of your home equity. But that could have the impact of forcing you to sell your home to pay off that. They say it's not a debt, but they can make you sell your home to pay it. So I think it's a debt. So things like that, we've got to get ground rules. We've got to get regulation in place to make sure that people are not getting ripped off of their biggest asset. Similarly with cars, it's amazing how much power private parking garages and parking lots have. And that's another area that I think, a lot of people use these services without too much trouble, but occasionally people get into situations that are just a nightmare. And that's something that, we have the power to stop. We can set the rules and say, this is too much. This is going too far. And then there's all kinds of other things that we see almost on a daily basis that are a little harder to regulate, like things online. If you search for a hotel room to make a reservation, you'll see a whole bunch of sites trying to jump in and be a middleman, and often the service they provide makes it more difficult for the transaction to go through. So we see that kind of thing every day, and when I see that, I think there ought to be a law against this. Well, okay, I should try to fix that. We have an attorney general who's excellent on consumer protection and is very active on working on these issues as well. So there's a lot to do there, but focusing specifically on protecting seniors and other vulnerable
I was
folks in
about
the
to say,
population.
I was at the bank. One of the senior citizen walked in, and the banker was asking, "Do you use our online banking?" No, 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 no. He's like, "I don't want to use it." One of his friend was using something, and then the system got hacked, and he lost
Mhm.
all his money in the bank account or however. So it's a big concern for senior citizens, and they are scared when they look at one issue. They don't, because it spreads. It
Mhm.
spreads. Oh, everybody's scared. You know what? I'm gonna just write checks.
Yeah, it's a particular issue for senior citizens and for some other vulnerable groups, and with potentially devastating consequences if someone hacks into an account or something, or if they get into an exploitive kind of contract with someone who's
Mhm.
abusing loopholes in the law.
Yeah,
And when you look at those sorts of impacts on people, those kind of nightmares that people get into, that's something we can stop. We
correct.
can set rules. We can set regulations
Yeah,
that prevent some of that. And so that's what we've got to do. We've got to keep up with the fraudsters, and there's a lot of work to do there.
thank you for doing that. Yeah, definitely we need to protect senior citizens. They may have built some wealth over the time. We don't
Mhm.
want them to lose either, like you said, equity on their home or whatnot. So we should definitely protect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the last one, closing our interview, so what is one or two things you hope our residents can take away from our conversation and about public service, community, and the future of Washington?
I think the most important message I have is that your voice matters. Every citizen, everyone who lives here has a role in this community, is part of this community, and uh, and you should know that it matters when you communicate to your legislators, when you communicate to your city council members. Um, that we welcome that input, and that's kind of the basis of how we understand what's happening and what's a priority for the community. So it's important to let us know, and it's important to stay involved even when sometimes things seem very discouraging,
Hmm.
and that's something that we're dealing with a lot these days.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes that's very deliberate. People will try to make you feel discouraged
Hmm.
when they don't want you to be heard from. That's exactly the time to stand up and make yourself heard. And uh, and that's, I mean, that's really the basis of our democracy, is everybody gets to have a voice, and it's a responsibility too to try to pay attention. And again, people have jobs, they have families, they hire representatives to go and really dig deep on these things, but letting us know, what your values are, what your goals are, what your concerns are. That's really crucial in making sure that this process does serve the people best.
Great takeaway. So definitely, I think that's where I think we have a diverse communities. Voice matters. A lot of times, people do not want to register for vote or
Mm.
wanted to come forward. You know what? My voice is not heard. Or I think your suggestion is great. So people should share their voice so that you guys can do, or we all can do what what residents are looking for. Senator Stanford, thank you so much. Great conversations, great insights. What as a senator and what Washington State has been doing for our residents, not just for LD1, entire Washington State. It's a great work. I'm sure our listeners take away a lot of things from here, and we hope more leaders would join. Even youth, we hope more youth will get involved and join because we need new perspectives, not just in my opinion, but you can correct me. Not just a career politicians. I mean, sometimes people are like, oh, this is an area I can't just get in. It's pretty tough too, but I'm hoping that all these conversations can help them to join. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Thank you so much for your time today.
absolutely. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.